The most important thing to giving killer oral sex is to love it. If the receiver can tell that you are absolutely, obsessively loving it, they're going to enjoy it so much more. And that's way more important than the specific techniques.
I'm Amy.
I'm April.
Certified sex educators, sexperts of the year, and best-selling authors.
And we're on a mission to help you have more spicy, connected, and amazing shameless sex. Welcome to the Shameless Sex Revolution.
We're so close, it's like we have our own language. We're making sex and relationships shameless.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to the Shameless Sex Podcast. This episode, very exciting, fellatio.
Well, we're going to say it's how to suck cock like a champ.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want what you call it, champ level?
Champ level cock sucking.
Oh my God.
With Dr. Allie.
Dr. Allie, yeah. Dr. Alison Ash, her 9th time on our show. She is phenomenal. We always learn. We learn. I learned something in the first 5 minutes of this episode.
It was really funny, this episode, because there's so many puns.
Yeah.
It was punny and funny.
Ooh, I know. With dicks and anything about the ass, the puns are
right.
Unlimited. Okay, so we will get into the episode shortly, but you will enjoy it. Please enjoy. And know that she'll be back on our show to do the 2.0 episode, including deep throating and more about balls and prostates. Okay, so a couple of announcements. We have a retreat coming up, as you already know if you've been listening. Our next retreat is near Palm Springs, and this is in May 2025.
And it's filling up.
It is almost sold out. So if you want to come, this is for everyone, whether you're in a couple, you're an individual, you want to come as friends, go to shamelesssex.com. It's 3 nights. Go learn more there. We would hope to see you there. We will. We hope to. Blah.
And there's VIP upgrades for that. And guess what else?
Okay, this part. So May is a very special month for us.
It really is. We're going to be very busy.
Yes.
And we're doing our spring tour. It is probably going to be our only tour of this year, y'all.
Yep.
But we're in Austin, we're in Dallas, and Santa Cruz, where we are. Our studio is where we're recording right now. So come one, come all. If you are in Austin, Texas, Dallas, Texas, or Santa Cruz, California, tickets are live. So those shows, they pack the house. And there's VIP packages for those too. So check it out, shamelesssex.com for all of our offerings. Just shamelesssex.com.
And our live shows are very different from what you get on the podcast. It is what we're calling edutainment, right? It's not just sex ed, it's comedy, it's entertainment, there's performances, there's audience involvement.
It's an immersion.
It's an immersion. So it's a good date night. It's good to go as on your own.
Comedy,
with friends.
it's mixed comedy with, it's something that you'll never experience again.
Yes.
And we've been told that it's incredible. It's mind-blowing edutainment.
Yes. So please go and sign up ASAP and join us and meet us in person. We're super excited for that because we love our listeners.
Okay, I'm ready for the sex question. I didn't look at it and I'm curious because I just read the first line. So, okay, I'm ready.
I am a 45-year-old female and my partner is a 51-year-old male, and we've been dating for a year. My issue is we have different libidos, with his being lower than mine. He just doesn't seem that interested in sex. It's been like that since the beginning, and he says it's because of his age. I know communicating about this is important, but is there anything else we can do to help his sex drive? This is so common, especially in long-term relationships, but for this person, it's been the case since the beginning with their partner. And also it's common with aging, right? This is not something that's like, wow, this is so unique or different. And I know that is not helpful to this person because you probably feel alone or isolated, but I want to let you know that this is not a unique experience, right? That this is really common for mismatched libidos in long-term relationships or just relationships even from the start. And then with aging, for libido to change.
And it doesn't have to be that way. There are lots of options. So yes, it's completely normal. If your partner, if he is down to do a little bit of a deep diving into different options, we have recorded several episodes. And I will say my partner's 56 and he has implemented some of the tips that we're going to share and it works. And he has an incredible libido that is for me, aligns. And so I feel you and there is work involved. but it is solvable.
Totally. So one would be hormones, right? And like April said, your partner has to be down. You can't make your partner, decide.
Slip them a testosterone pill. No, don't do that one.
Yeah, and their morning milkshake. Yeah. No, don't do that. And also don't pressure them. Like, you need to do this, right? It's more like, I'm desiring for us to have more intimate connection, and my perception is it seems like we're out of alignment. And I learned about some things that might help and make it more of a we thing, not like a you, like help you, right? So we're gonna tell you about a couple we things, right? The hormone piece is more of a him or you thing. So one could be that you learned about hormones and the importance of hormones, and as we age, and we're not doctors, everyone, but as we age, testosterone in particular, but all kinds of hormones change, but we all have testosterone and it decreases. And that is very much responsible for libido.
And sometimes you can go to your doctor and they will say your
normal
testosterone looks normal. And that is fine for some folks. But if you want to be great with your hormones and have higher levels of testosterone that will give you that libido shift, then you can go get a hormone panel. And we did an episode with Dr. Justin Dubin. We've done an episode mostly about hormones with Remy Paillet and Dr. Castillo. Yeah. So you can have options, get your blood work done. It's good to go to an intimacy doctor that is specializing in intimate health.
Like you're paying out of pocket, right? Like general insurance is not covering this. Is like, that's just normal for age. But we live in an age where we can get testosterone supplements now in different forms.
Right.
And so if that's something you and your partner want to learn about, go to episode 406 with Dr. Justin Dubin. It's all about testosterone and all the options on the table.
There's other episodes too. However, we're just going to highlight that one. And also masturbation.
Yes.
We've talked about that. We talk about it in our book, The Importance of Self-Pleasure, to learn about what kind of turns you on within your own world, so you don't have to rely on your partner. And we're speaking to this 51-year-old male who, if he is wanting a shift in his libido, having your own experience for what turns you on and masturbating is going to help unlock that pleasure goal of yours.
And it also fuels the fire, right? Like if he's out of touch with his desire, libido, arousal, it's kind of, think of like a cauldron on a fire, right? And that fire is like very dimmed. So he's very used to that. But if he starts to continue to contribute to that fire flaming, which like masturbation is, that it's reconnecting with his desire and arousal. And so a lot of people, when they're like, I don't feel desire and arousal, they stop masturbating, they stop wanting to have sex. But if you
want to pour gasoline on it,
if you want to get some Duraflame or whatever, and so it's like a practice, even if and I work with couples where this is a thing, right? Like for whether they're men, women, whatever, like that they're so disconnected, especially after having kids, from desire and arousal, and it's kind of like rebuilding that and reconnecting themselves to it through a masturbation practice. And I just want to, it's not exactly a quote, but Barbara Corellis, she's been on our show before and she's amazing. She says, fake it till you make it. And that's not faking orgasms, everyone. It's when you're like, I don't feel arousal or desire, but I want to connect with that part of myself. So you start a masturbation practice where you're doing that, even if it doesn't feel amazing. It's not, if it feels terrible, don't do it. But it's like, it's doing this as a way to reconnect you with this part of yourself. And generally what people find is they feel sensation of some sort that generally feels good.
And you can also get a sex toy. Hot Octopus Solo, purepleasureshop.com has a whole section that's dedicated to masturbation for penis owners.
But with the Solo, he could just hang out. He can have his cock there, whether it's hard or soft.
Automatic.
This thing just massages it, like massages the head of his cock. It could, and it will probably feel really nice, if not lead to orgasm.
And it doesn't look like a butt, a mouth, a vagina. It's not anatomical. So it's techie and it does work. It's worked for millions of people. Like 1.5 million people have bought the Hot Octopus Solo / Duo, depending. So,
well, and especially for the masturbation thing, right? If he feels zero desire, he might be like, that sounds like work. So with the Hot Octopus Solo, he can just hang out, let his cock sit in there, and it does the work for him. But again, he needs to be on board for that. But if you want to purchase the sex toy or try it out, go to purepleasureshop.com, use coupon code Shameless Sex, and you get 15% off. And there's lots of other toys there.
And there's a piece here that says he doesn't seem that interested in sex. So what is sex?
Yeah, what is sex?
Right.
Is that just penetration? Because that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot. Like if you're not feeling super sexual and sex has to be penetration, his cock inside of you, then that's a lot.
It could be scary.
So what if sex could be, we could just make out. We can lay together naked. We can do oral things, hand things, use sex toys. Like we can play fun games of some sort. Like it doesn't have to be this huge goal where one, it's penetration, two, it's orgasm.
Oh, right. Taking that off the table is so important. And redefining what sex is to you is what we're saying.
Yeah, he might feel a little more interested in, so instead of it being sex, make it intimacy, right? Like let's make sure we have more intimate time, which could be so many things as opposed to sex. Or if you change what sex can be and it can include all these other things, then there's so many options on the table, which is why we've talked about this before. Masterclass.
Become a master.
Specifically, the masterclass class, The Art of Sex Appeal with Sham Boudram would be.
Who's going to be on our show?
I know. I'm super excited. She's going to come on our show. We're
There's
like
so many
fangirling
techniques. It's going to be really cool. She's a boss.
Yeah.
And the masterclass called, as Amy said, The Art of Sex Appeal, it teaches you and walks you through with really great examples, imagery, diagrams. So it's not just audio.
Real life couples
Yes.
talking about things that are hard or confusing too.
With sex techniques.
Yeah.
You get communication, flirting, seduction, how to be a great lover, not just good, but great. So foreplay.
And it's not all about penetration, right?
No.
It'll give you all of the examples of what sex can be, or not all of them, but a lot of them outside of it being orgasm and penetration. And I think that could be really freeing for this person, if not everyone listening.
Well, it's just another tool to put in your toolbox.
Yeah.
And if this libido, the differentiating libidos is a thing, that's going to be hard. And if you desire, this 45-year-old woman desire to have this libido shift more in alignment, this is a great way to start because you could get the masterclass together, the Art of Sex
watch it
Appeal,
together.
and be like, that looks amazing. Well, how do you feel about that? And
make like a yes, no, maybe list.
totally.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And you can do that right now because our listeners, that's you beautiful Shameless Sex listeners, you get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/shameless. Again, that's 15% off at masterclass.com/shameless. I'll say it one more time just in case. Masterclass.com/shameless.
Yep. Go check it out and then get your yes, no, maybe list and have loving conversations. Lastly, if you have confusion about how to have these conversations, because sometimes talking about sex is scary, we have a whole book written on that, which is Shameless Sex, a whole chapter in the book. And you can also get the audiobook. So go check that out.
Okay. I think this person, let us know if you have applied these things. And
yeah, we love feedback.
Yes. And what happens? So we love hearing from our listeners. Okay. So you ready for the bio?
Yeah.
Dr. Alison Ash, aka Dr. Allie, is a trauma-informed intimacy coach and educator, Stanford University lecturer, author, and founder of TurnOn.love. Dr. Allie designs workshops, courses, and retreats and offers coaching to support her clients to cultivate and sustain nourishing emotional and sexual intimacy. To learn more, go to TurnOn.love.
All right, everyone, it is interview time, and we are here with the fantastic, fabulous, and famous Dr. Alison Ash. Why is she famous? For lots of reasons. You already heard a little bit about her in the bio, and this is the 9th time she's been on our show, and she will be here again and again and again because she is a fantastic educator. She teaches at Stanford. She facilitates amazing workshops, and I will do less blah, blah, blah other than welcome to the Blowjob Fellatio episode with Dr. Alison Ash and Dr. Alison Ash, also known as Dr. Allie. Can you please tell us and our listeners a little bit more about how you got to where you are in the field of sexuality?
So I received my PhD from Stanford, specializing in sex and gender. And while I loved certain aspects of academia, I also discovered that my passion was teaching a wider range of folks, because the reality is that intimacy skills are not well modeled and templated for us in society at large. And as a skill, it's something that we can always get better at with proper instruction and practice. And I also found some aspects of academia really limiting all the politics and bureaucracy. And I want to be able to teach about blowjobs and fellatio and eating pussy and all of these things without feeling any kind of censorship.
Yeah.
Thank
Well, you
goodness.
do a great job of every time. I say this every time, 9 times now. I learn something from you when you are on our show, and I love collaborating with you, and our listeners adore you. The second time you were on our show was it was episode number 107, and it was how to eat pussy like a champ. And it was in our top 5, top 3, top 2 forever. And it may still be, I haven't checked, but this time we're switching it to how to suck cock like a champ or a boss, whatever you want to say. So can you start with some of the top reasons? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't really like sucking dick. I don't like to. So why would that be a thing?
Well, I think people don't like it in part because it can feel degrading to some people. It can feel kind of gross to think about putting something in your mouth that urine comes out of. It can feel scary to have semen and ejaculate in your mouth because either it can feel unexpected, you don't know when it's going to happen, or the taste can be offensive to some people. But I really want to help folks realize that there are workarounds for all of that. So when I'm sucking cock, I don't feel subservient and degraded, which at some points I have in my life, particularly in high school. I think I had experiences of feeling used and disempowered. But now in my life, I get to feel in control. I get to feel like I'm worshiping this cock. I am doing it on my terms. I am giving in a way that feels exciting and curious and pleasurable to me. I am making this human with the penis like putty in my hands. And there's something about that feels so erotic to me. And so I do not feel like I am just at somebody else's beck and call, but really that I'm in control in a way that feels really healing for some of those kind of traumatizing early formative experiences that I had.
That makes so much sense. I didn't think about this for myself because I love sucking cock, but I had a number of experiences in high school where I had, a boyfriend like this. They actually, you know who you are. You were lovely, but or even just like a casual sex person. I wasn't even having sex with them, right? Like someone I was making out with. And I got this line multiple times, and it's not exactly the way I'm going to say it, but basically, like, I'll continue to stay here and hook up with you if you suck my cock. Otherwise, I'm going to go hang out with my bros. And for the first 2 different dudes that said that, I did it, and felt not great after. And then for the third one, finally, I was like, no, like go hang out with your bro. And so I hear what you're saying. It's like taking back the power, because when I have someone's genitals in my mouth, it's quite powerful. Like if I just chomp down, I could ruin your life. And so I didn't even realize that for myself. Like maybe that's a reason why I enjoy it so much now, because it's helping me to heal. Look at, she already changed my life.
I think a lot of people can relate to that sentiment.
Yeah. Well, April, you had the head pushing experiences, right? When you were...
Yeah. When I was 14 with like this 17 or 18-year-old dude. It's in our book. So are you, Allie, talking about how to eat pussy like a champ and a few other things. And yes, I still struggle with the semen in the mouth thing. And it's not like I don't enjoy it per se. It's just like different for me. And sometimes there's expectations with swallowing or spitting or right. There's like that.
Totally.
It's hard.
When I was 16 or 17, I snuck into a porn shop, and I remember seeing this video, and on the cover of the video, there was a woman who had a bowl and like 8 penises were coming in it, and she was drinking in it. And there's something about that image that really tarnished the way that I relate to having semen in my mouth. Like it's a very visceral, imprinted experience. And so I don't swallow. And I think that there's a perception that in order to give really good head, you have to swallow. And it's utter crap. And I have figured out some techniques, which I would love to share with your listeners, where the penis owners most often can't even tell. And even if they can tell, they don't care because it still feels just as good.
Yeah, they're just happy to have your mouth on the cock, right? They're not going to be like, oh, that now all of a sudden it's like the blowjob never even happened. And it's, I think, so just before we get to the actual tips and tricks, because we want to know all these things, Why do you think learning and practicing oral sex skills is important, especially for confidence, right? Like why, like, and I mean, we kind of know the answer to that, but like, why is that such an important thing to feel good about what you're doing?
I think sex is vulnerable, and giving oral sex, whether it's going down on pussies or cock, is extra vulnerable because it's the focus. All the attention is on this experience. Where if you're having other kinds of sex, it just feels like this messy mix of things that are happening. And so because you feel like the spotlight is on you, the attention is on you, if you're in your head spinning out, feeling not confident, feeling insecure, then you're not going to enjoy it. And the most important thing to giving killer oral sex is to love it. If the receiver can tell that you are absolutely obsessively loving it, they're going to enjoy it so much more. And that's way more important than the specific techniques.
So I could be a cheerleader, enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Woohoo, I love your dick. Okay. I'm excited for some of these tips. And I think it's important, though, to talk about the dick anatomy 101 for folks that might not understand all of it, or there's uncircumcised or circumcised cock. So let's talk about anatomy in relation to blowjobs, and then we can get into the juicy tips.
Sure. So, as you said, penises can be circumcised or uncircumcised. If it's uncircumcised, it's kind of like the penis is wearing a turtleneck. And when that penis is erect, oftentimes that foreskin will pull down onto the shaft, but not always. And you can, with the palm of your hand, put it on the head of the cock and kind of pull the foreskin down. For some people, that foreskin's sensitive, and for other people, it's a little hardier. And the foreskin itself, even if it is over the head of the cock, can feel really pleasurable. And some people really like for you to stimulate in between the foreskin and the head of the cock. I personally love uncircumcised penises because when that foreskin is pulled down on the shaft, there's more motion that can happen. You can do longer strokes. The skin creates less friction burn. And I feel like there's something that just feels easier to me about pleasuring an uncircumcised penis. That said, I also love circumcised cocks. No shame in the game for whatever kind of penis you have. But I think folks can feel a little deterred around an uncircumcised penis because it just looks different than what we see. Because oftentimes, even in porn, even if they're uncut, the foreskin is on the shaft. And so it looks like a circumcised penis.
Yeah. So it's hard for not all, like, because some uncircumcised, my brain does this too, uncircumcised, circumcised, that even when they're hard, there still is extra skin there because they're all different. Some people can have so much foreskin that is super tight where they actually can't even, like, the head, it doesn't even pull back.
That's right.
And yeah, there's all kinds of variations. And then isn't it, I mean, what is other countries where, like, it's the US it's air quotes, like, normal to be circumcised, right? But you go to other places, it's not normal. It's right. It's like not not the common thing. So if you think you're like, oh, it's so not normal to see a uncircumcised penis, just go somewhere else and have sex with a bunch of people. You'll see. You'll see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of my wild European adventures in my early 20s taught me a lot about uncircumcised penises.
Yeah.
Same here, Dr. Allie. Same here. I was like, oh, wow, this is great.
And foreskin also, isn't it? There's like little glands under it that are like lubricating naturally. And then when you cut off and we're not anti-circumcision here, we're neutral, but when you cut that off, I think they kind of dry up. And so you lose that natural lube.
You lose a lot of nerve endings. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So there's foreskin, and then so there's the head of the cock, which has a lot of nerve endings, which is kind of like anatomically similar to the clitoris, right?
Like that V shape, right?
That's the frenulum part.
The frenulum part.
But the head itself.
Where the V is, right? Underneath?
Where the frenulum is part of the head, yeah, but that's like anatomically or embryologically similar to the clitoris in terms of nerve endings.
Correct. That's correct. And then the scrotum. So if you think about the balls are housed in the scrotal sac. And if you look at the scrotal sac, there's a seam. And that seam is actually where the labia fused together. So
I knew it. I knew that. I could tell. I could see it.
That's right. All fetuses start with female anatomy. And then there's a particular gene on the Y chromosome that can get expressed. And of course, we could talk about intersexuality, which is, affecting almost 2% of the population. But for folks where they aren't intersex, there's a hormone that gets released that then starts to change the anatomy into more male anatomy. And so there's a lot of parallels that we can find between female and male anatomy based on how the anatomy changes over time.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. Was it Emily Nagoski? Like we're all made of the same parts. They're just organized differently. Right. So that's liberating too, though. We're like, oh, actually not that different, from like my pussy versus a cock. And then, but also sexuality is quite complex.
And knowing that the head is similar to the clitoris, if you own a clitoris, you're like, oh, I know kind of what to do with my clitoris. Maybe I could apply some of those techniques to the cock. So I don't know what you think, Dr. Allie. I assume that would be feeling good.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like if someone's like, if you have an experience where someone just sucks really hard in your clit and you're like, I want it other places, you could apply that to a cock too, right? Like not just sucking really hard on the head the whole time because you want to, right? I think.
Totally. And also, if you think about how many nerve endings are in the scrotal sac, realizing that we have just so many nerve endings on the vaginal lips. And as we've talked about in How to Eat Pussy, I think that that's a very underutilized area of sensitivity and place to massage people with pussies, but also, of course, not just the testicles, but the scrotal sac can be incredibly sensitive for people who have penises. And I think that's a wonderful place to offer some sensation.
Hey, lovely listeners. Ever want to turn up the heat in your love life? Well, I took Shan Boudram's class on Masterclass, and let me tell you, it's like having your own personal pleasure coach whenever you need one.
Whether you're a bedroom newbie or a seasoned pro, she's got secrets that'll make your toes curl.
Her class is bursting with juicy tips. Think sizzling positions for every body, mind-blowing foreplay hacks, and unlocking those mysterious erogenous zones. Lower back massage? Anyone?
Yes, me please. From becoming multi-orgasmic to G-spot explorations, Shan's sessions are packed with visual guides, live demos, and real couple combos.
With Masterclass, dive into over 200 sessions from the world's top minds. For just $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access on any device. Shan's class is perfect for singles and couples alike, helping you redefine desires and boost your confidence.
And guess what? 88% of members report a positive impact from their classes. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And to make things even sweeter, right now, grab an extra 15% off an annual membership at masterclass.com/shameless. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/shameless. Masterclass.com/shameless.
Hey there, shameless listeners. Are you ready to kick your dick challenges to the curb?
Well, then let's talk about Joy Mode's Sexual Performance Booster, the secret sauce for turning meh into wow.
Exactly. This all-natural wonder enhances blood flow, giving you firmer, more reliable erections. It's like giving your little buddy a superhero cape. And the best part? Joy Mode isn't just for epic bedroom adventures. Daily use supports healthier blood vessels and enhances heart health. It's like a gym membership for your cock.
Just mix a pack with water, and in 45 minutes, you and your cock will be ready to rock. No awkward doctor visits required. And with just 4 simple ingredients, you can finally ditch those prescription side effects. Join the ranks of over 200,000 men who trust Joy Mode to keep their performance at its peak.
So if you want to take your game to legendary levels, visit tryjoymode.com and use code SHAMELESS for 20% off single purchases and 30% off subscriptions.
That's tryjoymode.com, code SHAMELESS for 20% off single orders and 30% off subscriptions. Again, tryjoymode.com and code SHAMELESS to take your cock into joy mode.
Okay, so let's get into the tips because it's not just the tip. That is a great way to access some applicable tools that people are going to want. And I also really want to tap into what you were talking about with it wasn't like a secret, but it was like a hack with the ejaculate. So can you talk about some of the tools that might apply?
We're going to get to jizz later. The jizz is later.
What if she just inserts a little tiny bit of jizz?
April wants a little tiny drop of jizz right now.
Okay, I'll see. I'll see where I can weave it in for y'all. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is there are so many ways that you can pleasure a penis and the testicles and the perineum and the prostate if we have time to get there. And just like when we talk about pussies, not every pussy is the same. Same thing is true with penis owners. Some people are going to prefer different things than others. We can think about sucking cock as, I think, people have two main images. One is just kind of pleasuring the head of the cock, and others are like maybe licking and kissing the shaft and kind of really focused on the shaft. I think champ quality cock sucking is really about offering pleasure to the whole anatomy. And so one thing that I will really like to do is to start with some warm up. And I think it's also important to know, if I could just take a step back, you can pleasure flaccid cocks just like you can pleasure hard cocks. And I think people don't really consider that. And it's such an important way for dealing with some of the pressure penis owners can have around getting and maintaining an erection. And if somebody is not hard and you're like, hey, no worries, I love pleasuring your flaccid cock. Like, what a powerful way to reduce pressure. And the less pressure somebody feels, the easier it's going to be for them to get hard. And so if they're not hard, that's a great place to start. You can still grab the shaft of the cock. The shaft can take a lot of pressure. You can oftentimes, whether it's flaccid or erect, grab that quite hard, and that can feel really good. I wouldn't say, particularly for a circumcised cock, grabbing really hard and pulling and yanking, not so much, but a steady, firm grab or pulsing as you're grabbing can feel really good. Playing with the head of the cock, licking, kissing, sucking. I really love to lick right under the ridge of the penis. Of the head of the penis can feel really fun. It's also just playful to let my tongue kind of trace the underhead of the tip of the penis. And this you can do whether they're soft or hard. And if they're still soft, my partner and I love this game we invented called the soft game, where I will put his soft penis in my mouth, and we will gamify it and time how long he can go without getting hard. It's
that's a good game,
right? It's reverse psychology. And so, and there's different like variations or levels we'll do. Sometimes I'll just put a soft cock in my mouth and just let it hang out there. Sometimes I'll kind of make it a little harder and use my tongue and kind of lick it and maybe do a little bit of sucking. And for him, he's trying not to get hard, which is such a great way to get hard.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, right?
Mind fuck, right?
Totally. And so I just think helping folks realize that, and soft penises can even ejaculate. Being able to ejaculate and being hard, those are separate biological functions. And so just normalizing how much pleasure soft cocks can experience can be really helpful for both givers and receivers.
I'm so glad you said that, because we've done episodes specifically about soft cock play. I don't know if we've talked about it within like oral sex episodes, and it is really important to talk about the fact that you can still experience a lot of pleasure with soft cocks. Let's not shame soft cocks. There's so much you can do, and now we can do reverse psychology. No guarantees they'll get hard though, but I'm going to do this with my partner. It sounds fun.
This is also you said this before about orgasm, like a challenge. Like I don't want you to orgasm. Just don't. It's like reverse psychology. And I've used that in the bedroom and it totally works. And I thought about you. I was like, Dr. Allie, thank you. Because it does work.
Yeah, the hardest way to orgasm is to try, and the easiest way to orgasm is to be told you're not allowed to.
Oh, everyone wants to do what they're not supposed to do.
It's true.
Naughty.
It's true.
Okay, so these are some tips here, and also we did your How to Eat Pussy Like a Champ episode. I also like how you said, was it champ level cock sucking, but and then we did the 2.0 version. We'll probably still do blowjob 2.0 with you too. But are there any like 2.0 intermediate or advanced tips or tools that you have that, like, if you're brand newbie, maybe you don't throw this in right away, but if you're like, I've been sucking dick for a long time and I want to try something new and
Slurpee
exciting.
stick shifts.
There's two that I would like to offer. So one is when you are past the warm-up stage, where you're maybe just using your fingernails or your tongue or your lips, and you're kind of playing with the shaft and kissing and stroking and playing with maybe just the tip of the head in your mouth. When you're actually ready for like I'm going to push you over the edge. I really like to have my hand, one hand at least, very firm on the base of the cock, grabbing it really hard. This also helps the penis stay really hard. That's why cock rings work, because if you are grabbing the base of the cock, you're preventing those veins that allow blood flow to move quite as easily. And that blood flow stays in the cock, making it harder and more sensitive. So I will tend to have one hand firmly gripped at the base of the cock. Then I'll use my other hand lubricated either with spit or lube on the top base of the shaft, and I will move that hand up and down with my mouth. So my mouth is moving up and down on the cock. If you're watching the video, you'll be able to see what I'm doing.
YouTube, everyone.
So I'll have my top hand kind of moving, and actually I really like this motion of kind of like this, creating a little bit of a circular motion. Now, I'm not grabbing the skin so hard and creating friction burn. That's why the lube is so important. But I'm going like this with the hand, and I'm making my mouth meet the hand. So as my hand goes down, my mouth goes down. As my hand goes up, the mouth goes up. And so then it's creating this whole tube of sensation where it's hard to actually differentiate what's my mouth and what's my hand. And for folks who maybe are a little bit more tentative about having too much cock in their mouth, this is a really helpful way to be able to create sensation that offers a ton of surface area of pleasure. And if you don't want ejaculate in your mouth, this is the way to navigate that. So what I'll tell my partner is tap me when you're getting ready to come. And I will have my top hand on that base of the top part of the shaft with my mouth meeting my hand. And then as soon as they tap me, what I'll do is I will move my mouth off and the hand will just go up a little higher. So now it's going over the top of the penis as well as the shaft. And if you time it well, then the ejaculate goes in your hand instead of your mouth, but they cannot tell that your mouth is no longer there.
That's called a cum catcher.
Yes, I'm
trademark.
That.
Yeah. Trademark. I personally don't like touching cocks without lube. Like if I'm like trying to give like a hand job or like whatever, I need lube. Otherwise, I'm like, feels like I might be hurting you or something. So adding lube to it, we love Uber Lube, no flavor, no scent, and also your mouth, with the saliva that you're creating. And so, like you're saying, when you pull away, it can still just feel because your hand's now warm and all wet and moist. That's brilliant. Okay. I wanted to ask one thing though about suction, because I think people get a little confused. I know we talked about it a little earlier with some people, the sucking a clit really hard versus sucking the head of the cock. But when you're doing all this, how much are you actually doing a suction-y kind of motion?
Well, I think this is something that some penis owners like and others don't like as much. For me, I'll do a little bit of sucking, but what feels most pleasurable to me and kind of more universally pleasurable for penis owners is to think about my tongue bathing and enveloping the cock. And so oftentimes I will have my tongue be like a soft fuzzy blanket for the head of the cock. Sometimes my tongue will be kind of circulating the head. And so if my hand is doing kind of this motion that I showed you earlier, and my tongue is doing this motion.
Both circular. If you're listening, they're both like circular motions. Yeah.
Yeah. That's creating like a 360-degree experience that can feel incredibly pleasurable. And I can alternate that with a little bit of sucking, but I'm not like trying to suck the cock off of its, base of its penis. Like that can oftentimes feel too much, or it oversensitizes the head of the penis, and then they might not then want to continue. And again, every penis owner is different. And so being able to check in and ask, my favorite thing is saying, hey, do you like it like this? Or do you like it like that? You can sprinkle a few of those in, especially if it's a new lover. And then you can really figure out how hard they might like different types of sensation.
Okay, I want to add a couple of pieces that I think are important because using the hand so much, from my experience, taking off the rings, because sometimes it can hurt the penis owner. And I won't realize because my rings are always on. And my partner's been like, wait, that something's sharp. It's like the fingernails with pussy pleasuring.
Well, even fingernails for cocks too, right? Like both, right?
I think it's more possible to angle with
That's
if
true.
you have nails.
Yeah.
I'm just, so would you suggest ring removal?
Not cock ring removal, but a different kind of ring.
That's spot on. Yeah,
Okay.
very good advice.
Fact. Most pussy owners need some sort of clitoral stimulation to orgasm, and many are not having orgasms from penetrative sex.
Say what?
I know, right? This is one of the many reasons why we are obsessed with OMG Yes. Not only has it changed our lives in the orgasm department, but I've been recommending OMG Yes to my clients for years, and it's completely changed their sex lives as well. OMGS features scientific research of real vulva owners, aka women, showing techniques to pleasure the pussy. They turn the research into tasteful, educational short videos, animated modules, and infographics for easy visual learning.
They call it OMGS for a reason, because OMGS is for anyone who wants to learn about pussy pleasure or take it to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or someone who wants to take your orgasms from good to mind-blowing, then you need to check out OMG Yes. They have 3 seasons: external pleasure, internal pleasure, and sex toys. It's not a subscription service, y'all, so you don't need to download a single thing. And it's great for partners who want to pleasure that pussy too. And for listeners of our show, OMGS is offering 10% off when you go to omgyes.com/shameless. Again, that's omgyes.com/shameless to receive 10% off unlimited access towards enhancing your pleasure power forever. Newsflash, everybody. We are picky about our lubes.
Can we say uber picky?
Yes, we can. And let me tell you all why Uber Lube is our absolute favorite lube ever. Uber Lube is a luxurious silicone lubricant that I want all over my body. Yes, it's designed for sex because it enhances intimacy while allowing you to still feel the skin-on-skin contact, but it feels so good that I want it everywhere. Uber Lube is long-lasting, leaves your skin feeling velvety smooth, and it's there when you want it, but then it dissipates when you're done.
Yes. Aside from using Uber Lube for all of my sexy sessions, and I use it all the time, I also use it for massages, for my hair frizzies, to prevent chafing, and it brings out the color of your beautiful tattoos. Thousands of doctors and therapists in the US alone are recommending Uber Lube to their patients because it's body-friendly, less likely to change the pH, and has vitamin E so it feels moisturizing on the skin. Uber Lube has no flavor or scent, which means it's also great for oral sex. And it comes in a beautiful glass bottle with a pump top, which means easy access to Pleasure Town.
Want to see why we think Uber Lube is the best lube in the world? Then go to uberlube.com and use discount code SHAMELESS to get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's uberlube.com right now with code SHAMELESS for 10% off and free shipping. And then I have a question. So I'm a toothy individual. And so would you suggest for folks that are toothier, if that's a thing?
Is that like small jaw or?
No, I have a lot of, I don't know. It's
you have
not
TMJ too.
No, it's not even about the TMJ.
Okay.
But like, do you suggest the lips over the teeth for toothy people, or because that's an art? So I just want to know if there's a hack for that, because I've had other friends say like, oh, it's hard for my teeth not to get in the way sometimes, and I have a smaller mouth. They'll say this to me, and I can relate. So any advice for those toothy humans out there?
Yeah, exactly what you said. So you can kind of curve your lips over your teeth. Yeah, you and I are both doing it in the video. And then that creates kind of like a lip barrier. I will find that my lips get kind of tired. They'll fatigue in that position. And so then you might just alternate what you're doing for a little bit, give that part of your mouth some rest, and then go back to it.
Yeah.
I like that. And sometimes you get that, I don't know what it's called, like the indentations inside the mouth from, I'm like, I sucked a lot of dick yesterday.
Oh,
My mouth has like,
Have you seen the things where if you go to the dentist, they can tell if you sucked dick before based on like with the whatever the lights there, like the blue, black light, blue light, whatever, and they can see like if there's damage in the back of your throat.
Like bruising,
and they're like
bruising.
Maybe they were sucking some dick.
I have not had that experience.
I have no. Well, they don't tell you.
A lot of hygienist friends.
My dentist knows what I do for a living. I should ask them. Like, so can you tell what I did last night?
I'm going to the dentist tomorrow. I will ask.
Do they know what you do for a living, though?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
They listen to the podcast.
Ask them, yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to say about the teeth thing is be gentle with yourselves and your lovers, right? Like, teeth happen. So if you're putting something in a mouth where teeth live, teeth can hit the skin, and especially if someone's girthier, bigger, longer, whatever. So like, because I've had lovers like, oh, your teeth, like I didn't bite them. It's just like they grazed it. And I was like, yeah, but you're putting your dick in my mouth. So like, just be gentle with yourselves. Like, you don't have to be in your head about like no teeth, and then be gentle with your lovers. If you get like a little grazing, now if you're getting a bunch, of course, now you can be like, hey, so I'm feeling some teeth. What do you call it? The toothies. I'm feeling a little toothy right now, and so maybe we can work something out. But yeah,
hey, Jaws, can you relax for a second? Also, what about lube in the mouth is helpful for dry mouth folks? Because that is a thing. You get nervous when you're with partners. The saliva can dry out. So I think that the lube in the mouth, Uber Lube, I will do a couple squirts and it has been effective. I don't know if you have any other suggestions, sucking on a Listerine strip.
I always have a bottle of water nearby, and I am not shy about just chugging water during a cocksucking session. But also a fun tip is sometimes I'll have a bottle of water with a little bit of ice in it so it's cold.
Ooh.
And I'll also have a bottle of tea. And I'll alternate the two, and that creates some really interesting sensation play for them so that they're not quite sure, is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? And that can be fun for me because I get to be a little mischievous, but also that sensation play can be really hot for the receiver.
Yeah.
Okay, is it time for jizz yet? Amy,
jizz. Well, we already heard a little bit about jizz with the hand technique that you were talking about. But so
you're right.
The catcher, but I think you said you had the catcher.
the cum catcher.
It's like baseball. I got the catcher. It's the catcher mitt. But do you have other ones for folks who don't want jizz in their mouth?
I think that's the main one. You can also really allow them to come on your body if you're open to that. That can be really hot and erotic. It doesn't have to be on your face. It could be on your chest or on your butt or wherever it is. I think that can just be a really fun alternative. It's a hot visual, and it allows them to actually maybe finish themselves, which sometimes can be really hot for them to take over in that moment. And then you can just really let yourself be a reciprocal of their ejaculate pleasure, which can be hot and erotic. Totally. Although I would definitely recommend having like a warm washcloth nearby, because when it gets sticky, when it dries, it gets kind of itchy and hard
crusty.
to get off.
There's a technique too that I have learned where you don't have to keep the jizz marinating in your mouth. You can just swallow it immediately, and it kind of
the jizz marinating in their mouth.
Have you ever watched porn?
Oh, that's porn. But they're like gargling it. Yeah. And it's slowly dripping up.
There's a way to, I can't remember if Dr. Allie talked about this before, or it was someone that I trust.
You just swallow it.
You just swallow it, but you don't have to like gurgle with it. Like
I think most people are not gurgling. That's porn, everyone. Like, that's not what most people are doing.
And if the penis is kind of deeper in your mouth, then it can go past your taste buds. And so that can also make it easier for some people to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, if your mouth is dry too, you're talking about like the water and the tea and then lube. We use Uber Lube for that. Both of us do it for oral. And we're not going to do a bunch of deep throating. Maybe we'll have Dr. Allie back just for deep throating. But if you're, putting a cock way back in the back of your throat, consensually, it produces a whole nother level of saliva, which can be like free lube. So I do that when I'm like, oh, I need more lube in my mouth. I will do but I like deep throating. Again, and no one has to deep throat. It's a whole different topic.
I love that topic. So I'd be happy to come back and chat.
All right. That'll be the 2.0. All right. We figured it out. A couple months, everyone. She's back.
If we were going to touch on just one more thing before we wrap up, I would say, let's talk about ball play.
Yeah. Let's do balls.
Cum catchers and ball play. I love it.
I'd watch that over baseball. Just saying.
Me too. So when we think about playing with the testicles, there's a few things that I think could be helpful to name. What feels painful and uncomfortable is when the two testicles get kind of smushed and hit each other. That doesn't feel good. Or when you're tugging too hard and you're pulling on the vas deferens, which are the tubes that go kind of up into the pelvis, that can also be really painful. The scrotal sac itself, which is the skin that kind of encases the testicles, that can take more tugging, harder sucking, more sensation. And then you can also put one or two testicles in your mouth and lick, very gently suck. You can kiss, you can blow, you can do all sorts of fun things. If you don't want the balls in your mouth, what you can do is with that hand that I said that's kind of gripping at the base of the cock, you can scoop the testicles up so that they're in your hand and then your fingers are holding the base of the cock. So you're kind of holding the testicles and the base of the cock at the same time. And that's a really good way too to create ball sensation without having to have the testicles in your mouth. You can also ask the receiver if they'd be willing to shave the hair on their testicles. It can get really smooth. And if you're sensorily sensitive and having hair in your mouth doesn't work so well for you, that can make playing with balls a whole nother experience that can be really pleasurable for yourself.
And I think
that's
also
awesome.
Just casual sex too, because I've met some penis owners who didn't want their balls touched. So
totally.
So if you're with casual sex or someone that's new, I would either ask them or like put my hand kind of close to the balls or kind of on them and ask, like, does this feel good? Is this okay? To give them that. I mean, most of the people that I've hooked up with, they want their balls touched, but there's a couple that were not down with it.
That's right. Totally. And in our 2.0 episode, we can talk about the perineum and prostate as well.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Okay, before we get to your offerings, just one last thing, because there are people out there that really want to get their cock sucked, but their partner just won't offer it. They just are whatever, immune, or they don't know.
Immune. So, I'm immune to dick sucking.
So is there anything that as a penis owning person that I could say to, if I was a penis owner, to up my chances? Not like, hey, if you, like Amy experienced in high school,
not that.
If you don't suck my dick, I'm going to go hang out with my bros. But is there
the better variation?
Yes. What's a good way to talk to your partner about this?
I would start with curiosity. How do you feel about dick sucking? What about it feels unappealing to you? Gather some data so that you know what to speak to, what kind of reassurance that you could offer. And start small. Maybe it's actually not having the penis in the mouth. Maybe it's just playing with the shaft or just kind of using the tongue around the head of the cock. Maybe it's focusing more on a hand job at first so somebody can get more comfortable with cocks. You can also really do modeling and templating. Of course, you can't, if you can suck your own cock, send me some video. But
Me
you
too.
You might not be able to template that, but you can show them how you like to have your cock touched, what feels really good. You can even do hand over hand where you're touching your own penis and their hand is on top of your hand so that they're really learning what it is that you like. I think that having an attitude of permission, exploration, communication, curiosity, that's what makes any kind of sex better. And don't put pressure on them, but also make it feel inviting and safe, and that they don't have to have all the answers or do it perfectly, that the intimacy of being in the place of exploration together is your ultimate goal.
And manscape, dudes. Because sometimes it might not be your partner's thing to go and suck cock when it's full of bushels of things.
Totally.
No shame in it. However, be aware.
And take a shower together. Sometimes if your cock is clean, doesn't have any kind of smell, they feel like, whatever their maybe ick factor could be addressed that way. That can also be really helpful.
Yeah, and the same thing with pussies, right? We talked about this in the pussy eating or pussy like a champ, how to eat pussy like a champ episodes, right? Like it's, I think there's more stigma about pussies being dirty than cocks, which is silly because they're all doing very similar things. And if that is something, being clean or like April said, trimmed is a thing for you, then you can make loving light suggestions, or you can have like shared experiences with that.
Well,
And
if you have a dick, you could be like, hey, babe, check out, I'm manscaped. What do you think?
Well, also have you heard the thing when you, we trim the trees, the trunk looks bigger or something like that. I've heard this. They're like, oh yeah, the trim makes my cock just look bigger. So we're not saying you have to do that. Okay, so we need to wrap up, everyone. We are going to go in the 2.0 episode, and you already heard what that would be about eventually in a couple months. And Dr. Ali, I didn't say this in the beginning. I usually say this when we record with her because she also is a sex and relationship coach, and I have had friends working with her that had their lives changed and loved working with her. And so I just want to put that out there that she does do this work. And Dr. Ali, you have a couple specific offerings that are coming up. Can you tell us more about those?
Would be happy to. So yes, I work with individuals and couples and polycules, helping them have the kind of intimacy that they're wanting, emotional and sexual. But I also have this new group coaching program. It's called Empower Dating, and it's a 6-week online coaching program for individuals where we go over so many of the different aspects of dating that can create challenges, feeling disempowered, burnout, all of it. So we'll talk about confidence, body image, overcoming insecurities, how to find people to date, flirting, building desire, how to turn down dates or handle rejection, avoiding burnout, identifying red flags, knowing how and when to transition from casual dating to committed partnerships. So that starts on April 22nd. And it's every Tuesday for 6 weeks. And I have a special $50 discount code for listeners. Just put shameless into the promo code box, all one word, lowercase, and you can get that discount for that program. I also have a retreat for couples, April 24th through 27th in Sonoma, California, called Sustainable Intimacy, Reignite the Flame for the Long Game. It's in a beautiful setting, in nature, gorgeous, hot, heated pool and hot tub, and all of the perks of having a retreat space, yummy meals, massages, everything like that. But we also go over some very essential, important content about how to overcome the various libido blockers that make it hard to feel turn on and pleasure, that create lack of sex or lack of as much sex as you want, navigating differences in desires and libido. We'll talk about how to get out of unhelpful and challenging dynamics like anxious and avoidant or cohabitator and co-parent roles, or the pressure rejection cycles. And we'll talk about how to create tailor-made physical, verbal, romantic bids for intimacy, how to create the conditions for your desire to come online, how to create what we call intimacy dates that allow you to explore a wide range of intimacy and prioritize that. We'll give you actionable tools and practices that will allow you to create lasting change, not just the boost that sometimes we get out of these workshops and retreats, but something that's going to be sustainable for the long run. And we have a special $100 discount code for listeners, also shameless, lowercase. I know Amy and April will put these links in the show notes, but you can also go to turnon.love. Empower Dating is under the coaching tab. Sustainable Intimacy Retreat is under the teaching tab. You also find all sorts of on-demand and other kinds of content. And so please just check out my website. Feel free to get in touch if you have any questions at all.
And if you're listening after April 2025, Dr. Ali is always releasing more resources and tools and workshops. So still check out her website, turnon.love. And if do you still work with people? I know you do the retreats. Will you do one-on-one, or you do? Because you mentioned that in the beginning.
I do one-on-one and couples. And the sustainable intimacy content is also available as an on-demand rental. So if you can't come to the retreat, you can still get all that content from home. And we'll be doing the Empowered Dating coaching program several times. So if you can't join us in April, keep an eye on that because it will be offered again.
So turnon.love, everyone. And if you're at Stanford University, you can also listen and be immersed in Dr. Ali's teachings. So Dr. Alison Ash, everyone. Yay, we adore you. Can't wait to have you on for episode 10, 11, 12. It's always exciting, and it's gonna be so great. And this episode was fantastic. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We drop an episode every Tuesday, and we are doing more bonus episodes. We also have our premium content. We're building more and more content, and you can find the all access pass. You can do $5 a month, or you can do an annual pass. It's a way to support Amy and I and our podcast work, because this is what we love to do, but we couldn't do it without you.
And you also get the behind the scenes stuff, like things that we don't normally say on the podcast. So that's fun.
And we're building the content. If there's some things that those folks that already have the all access pass, if there's some stuff that you want, it's all audio only. So there's no video. Let us know. We love interacting with our listeners. So thank you to everyone. Rate us, review us if you haven't done so already. The 5 stars is preferred. If you want to offer anything lower than that, then go ahead and offer it to Joe Rogan. I think he needs some of that. All right, y'all. We will see you next Tuesday for another episode of Shameless Sex. Ciao for now.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.